Okay, we're recording now. So, welcome to Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And today we have Tammy with us. Welcome, Tammy.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So, tell us a little bit about what you do in the holistic healing world.
Yeah, I've been in private practice for 16 years now, and I do life coaching from a spiritual perspective primarily, and also hypnotherapy. And my specialty in hypnotherapy is past life regression.
Nice, nice. So, can you tell people who might not know anything about hypnotherapy or anything about past life regression, can you help people understand what that's about?
Yeah, hypnotherapy, I would say, is probably for most people the last thing they attempt in their journey towards healing. They've kind of exhausted all of their options before
Hmm.
they get to that because it's not as mainstream and it's misunderstood in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
From a therapeutic perspective, it's very powerful, but some people don't give it the respect that it needs, and treat it with the integrity that is required, and kind of give it a bad name. And that takes those
Yeah.
of us that are doing it seriously a lot more effort to overcome those misperceptions and see if someone's open-minded enough to be willing to try. There's a lot of trust
Yeah.
required in it because
Hmm.
you are allowing someone access to your subconscious, which is different than regular talk therapy, which is, your awakened mind, not your
Right.
subconscious mind. But you can make a lot more advances quicker in hypnotherapy because you're dealing with your subconscious level, which is what drives your awake level.
Yeah. So that's the reason that I want to do this is so people who don't know and have misconceptions, can hear from different holistic practitioners and learn more about, what there is out there and learn about it rather than just going with what might, they might hear or, just their own misconceptions that they have or even fears, what
Yeah,
they might have about it. So just to dispel any myths or any fears, that's why we're doing this. So again, thank you.
you're welcome. It's interesting in that not everyone is a possible candidate for
Mhm.
hypnotherapy, just like not everyone's a candidate for certain medications.
Right.
There are certain things that, if they're present, make someone potentially not a good candidate. One is if they don't believe it's possible,
Hmm.
then that's automatically not a good fit. But if they're on certain medications, or if they've
Yeah.
had other diagnoses that are counterproductive, then
Hmm.
then I make sure that the do no harm aspect,
Right.
from a clinical perspective or from a personal perspective, then I will say that, and I will let them know that there might be other options for them to pursue,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it's a good fit for them to embark on it. So if I don't think it's a good avenue for them,
Hmm.
then I'll steer them another direction,
Yeah.
to get the help that they need. So it's not a one-stop shop. It's a
Right.
you kind of have to um, be a good fit for the modality and for the time in your life and for
Yeah.
what's present in your life for it to be a possible good fit. And then there needs to be a fit with the practitioner. If you don't get along with
Absolutely.
the person, if you don't feel safe with the person, if you don't feel comfortable in the environment,
Right.
all of those things need to be in harmony before you can even begin to consider doing the work.
Yeah.
So sometimes there needs to be some some coaching first, or something, to develop the rapport to trust someone enough to
Right.
go into a hypnotic state with them and have them help you with whether that's even quitting smoking or releasing a fear, or being able to go across a bridge or get on a plane for the first time, or
Hmm.
there's many applications for it, and not just past life regression, but that's even a much smaller subset of the niches of
Yeah.
hypnotherapy that are available. So you're looking for an even more specialized practitioner than a generalist for that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
there's quite a bit of training involved
Yeah.
to get to that place, because you're dealing with someone's psyche,
Yeah.
and that is sacred. And you need to know what you're doing, and need to be able to leave them in a peaceful state when you're
Yeah.
done, so that they're in a good place to leave and go on with their life, not
Right.
open something and then you can't close it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you don't want to open a can of worms and just let the
Exactly.
worms go.
Exactly. And to know your capabilities
Yeah.
and to have that be a safety mechanism, not oh well maybe I can, I'll wing it and try. There
Hmm.
isn't a wing it and try. That's
Yeah.
that that can cause, a not great experience for somebody,
Right.
and that could cause a negative wake in them spreading that experience with other people. And it's better
Yeah.
not to push an envelope like that. So to know your bandwidth and stay within it, kind of
Yeah.
know your scope and stay within it. And
Absolutely.
and all practitioners don't operate that way. So you
Right.
kind of really need to know who you're dealing with.
Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. So thank you for that.
Hmm.
So, speaking on environment, do
Hmm.
you do this remotely as well, or do you do it in
No, only in
person?
person,
Okay,
only in
only in
person.
person.
I do coaching remotely, and I do
Okay.
grief groups remotely, other
Okay.
areas that I'm into. But
Hmm.
as far as hypnotherapy of any kind, I only do it in person.
Okay.
One, I tried a few times with people that had been with me in person before, if I could
Hmm.
do remote with them after, and
Yeah.
I had someone else present in the home to be able to,
Right.
touch them with their permission,
Hmm.
to help bring them back. But I found that them knowing that there was someone else in the room, they didn't have as
Mm.
deep of an experience.
Yeah, they
And
were always
just
aware of that. Yeah.
not being able to confirm 100% that someone's back in themselves and they're not just going to go try to get in a car and drive or something.
Yeah.
Just the safety, I and that's a issue for some people, that they aren't willing to do the travel to get to me to do it, and
Yeah.
that's part of their decision making process. And
Right.
maybe there's someone that's more geographically located that could be a similar fit. But
Yeah.
I haven't had a bad experience, and I don't want there to be one. So
Right.
I know
Right.
some people do remote. I don't.
Yeah. So where are you located then?
I'm in Lakeport, California, which
Okay.
is in Lake County, which is in Northern California,
Uh-huh.
um, kind of headed towards um, the Humboldt area is a county
Okay.
above me,
Yep.
and below me is like Sonoma and Mendocino counties. So I'm
Okay.
actually one of the towns around Clear Lake in Lakeport.
Hmm.
So I'm next to one of the largest national lakes in
Yeah.
California, and so some people come here for like vacation reasons and then
Yeah.
happen to book with me, or
Yeah.
they come here for wine tasting because there's a big winery,
Yeah.
uh, you know, around here. Like Napa's not that far, Sonoma's not that far.
Yeah.
So sometimes if they include it in some other adventure and
Yeah.
I'm just part of the getaway, then it can make more sense. Or some people just come just to see me.
Right.
Um,
But there's a lot to do in the area that
there's a
if they
lot to do
wanted
in
to
the
make a
area, and so
weekend of it or
I
make a
I
mini
can
vacation. Yeah.
refer them to websites that list like the
Yeah.
Airbnbs and what you can do and the good restaurants and things like
Nice.
that if they want to make an adventure of it.
Yeah, nice. That's really nice. But like you said too, you also do coaching and
Yeah,
things like that so that you can do that stuff remotely. If you wanted to sort of, if somebody wanted to meet with you and have some coaching with you and then decide if to help them to decide if they feel like a
exactly.
past life regression session will be, right for them or be a good fit for them.
Right.
Then
I
they can
came
have
from the
some.
Bay Area. I lived in
Oh,
the
okay.
San Jose area and Santa Cruz area for the
Mhm.
first half of my practice.
Oh,
And
okay.
I relocated here 6 years ago. So I took
Hmm.
about 40% of my client base with me here, and they were willing to be remote when they'd
Yeah.
been in person previously, but that was before COVID.
Yeah.
And so before COVID, video telehealth was kind of out there. And
Right.
now after COVID, it's kind of accepted.
Right.
So that has changed a lot. But the majority of my client base is not where I am.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. So, so let's see. So how did you first become interested in doing all of this?
Well, it's very interesting. My undergrad was in business management, and I was in high tech corporate for over 25 years.
Mm.
And I kind of climbed the whole ladder and then jumped off. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I burnt out
I got
and,
there. Now I don't want to be here.
I got all the way up to the sea level and said, this isn't what I wanted. I'm
Yeah.
good at it and I make good money, but this isn't the life that I wanted.
Right.
And so then I went back to school, went to grad school and got my master's in spiritual psychology from a
Mm-hmm.
private school in Southern California in
Mm-hmm.
Santa Monica. And then that's when I started my practice.
Yeah.
And my practice is based out of my home, my office. So I commute down the hall
Mm-hmm.
and
Nice.
I was able to build people instead of build widgets.
Yeah. Right.
And I get a lot more self-satisfaction out of helping people improve the quality of their lives.
Yeah.
And so when I finished grad school, my dad was a smoker and he said, "Well, you can do that mind crunching stuff on me, but I won't let anyone else." And I said, "Dad," and he said, "I'd only let you." And I said, "Do you realize that's like a whole year and a half more of school? That's serious."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, that's the deal. If you want me to quit, do it." And I'm like, oh, the things you do for your parents, right?
Right.
So I went and got credentialed and all of that and came back and said, "Okay, I'm ready to do it." He said, "Oh, no, I'm not doing that." And I said, "Are you kidding me?" So like I've helped, 100 people quit, but not my
Right.
dad. And then my
Right.
dad passed of COPD 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
So,
I'm sorry.
people have free will and they make their own choices.
Right.
And then it was my own personal interest in past life regression that had me look into it from an expanding my repertoire
Mm-hmm.
perspective. And I read all of Dr. Brian Weiss's
I
books
know.
and
Yeah.
heard him speak and decided, okay, I'm going to go. And I went to Omega Institute in Rhinebeck,
Oh.
New York, kind of near where um, the big concert in the 60s was. I'm losing
Mm-hmm.
the name of it, but it was right near,
Woodstock.
yeah, Woodstock. Yeah, it was right near
Yeah.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
I went there and I was with him intensively for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And there was a group of about 30 of us. And he, took us down the rabbit hole really far.
Mm-hmm.
And we built our skills back up and out. And it's been like a kind of a whirlwind ever since. Like once he's kind of
Yeah.
the grandfather of
Oh, I know.
industry.
I love him so much. I have followed him and read plenty of his books. And there's another person that's really
Started
well known
mm,
in past life regression, but not necessarily, like you said, he's really the grandfather,
started
you know.
he started as a regular psychiatrist
Yeah.
and was just doing normal work with his clients. And then
Hmm.
he hypnotized one of his clients, and she like went back to past lives, and
Yeah.
he didn't have a bandwidth for that. And
Right.
and it happened over and over and over again. And he just
Yeah.
trapped her for years, and then said, I'm about to throw away my whole career by trying to establish this because my cronies aren't going to accept
Right.
this. Like
Right.
I went off
Right.
the deep end, and he really
Yeah.
did. He
Yeah.
really like he really had to walk away from the mainstream and
Right.
be willing to be seen as a kook for a while
Yeah.
until he until science caught up with what he
Yeah.
already knew, you
Yeah,
know.
and it just really shows his dedication for
Mhm.
really getting to the heart of the matter and really helping his patients more so than, the money or the, prestige or whatever from his other,
Mhm.
his other practice or his main, psychology or a
Mhm.
psychiatrist. I'm not sure which one he was, but he
Yeah.
was a doctor. Yeah,
Hmm.
so yeah, that really speaks to his heart and that he was
Yeah.
doing it for the right reasons
Hmm.
and that he came upon it, just sort of the way he did is so
Hmm.
interesting to me. I just
And he has
love
such a
that.
passion for it. I mean,
Right.
I'm gonna say he's in his
80s?
70s, 80s,
Yeah.
and he had the energy of like
Uh,
25-year-olds.
yeah.
I mean, it was hard for us to keep up with him that week,
Yeah.
and it's just passion, really,
Yeah.
and you know, beginner's mind and wanting to spread the word and
Yeah.
just the joy that came out of him as he was
Yeah.
teaching and seeing the light bulb turn on in us, and seeing
Mm-hmm.
even the change in us as students because we had to have our own experiences
Sure.
before learning how to give the experience. And
Yeah.
just to see the shifts in us from day one to the last day, it was
Yeah.
kind of like he was watching his grandkids grow
Right.
up
His
or something.
babies. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was really cool.
Yeah. So speaking of that too, I'd like to ask you when you are facilitating a session for past life regression,
Mhm.
how does that feel for you the practitioner, the facilitator.
Mhm.
Do you get anything out of that as your,
Well, I always
um,
learn. I mean, I learn a lot from what comes through the client because
mm,
they're each their own unique experience and their past experience is different.
yeah,
So I'm always gaining new knowledge on what comes through them, but also no two sessions are alike because
right.
once you go in there, you don't know where they're going to take you and how you're going to help them through it. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like you're building it together on the fly as you go. You're
Yeah.
only about 20 seconds ahead of where they are at
Right.
all times. So if you're not really on your game and really paying attention to everything that they say,
Yeah.
or even every body gesture or whatever,
Mm.
you might miss a hint on where to lead them next,
Oh,
you
that's
know.
interesting. That's
So
interesting. So
it's the
they're,
most dynamic
hmm
application of hypnotherapy that I've ever experienced. Some of the others,
yeah,
if you've done them a lot, they can kind of almost be autopilot.
right.
You know, they're pretty plug and play
Yeah.
once you're adjusted to them. This one is
Different every
a
time.
seat of your pants every time.
Yeah.
Um, and knowing if it's too much for the person when they get in it and you need to
Mm.
back them out because they're not
Yeah.
ready, you know,
Yeah.
and trusting that gut instinct to
hmm
know that I'm not going to push this because
Yeah.
it's not what they were. I believe what comes up is what their soul needs or
Right.
what their core needs or
Absolutely.
what their subconscious needs to bring into consciousness for their next development. But sometimes it's the last thing they expected.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's expectations on their part. You know,
hmm
they want to be related to someone famous and cool,
Yeah.
you know, or have been someone famous or cool. And really, that's a very small percentage of
Right.
past
Right.
existences, you know. So if they find out they're not Cleopatra, they're bummed, you know, and
Yeah.
like that's not realistic.
Right.
Um, you know, or they find out that uh um they that they experienced something they never thought that they would. You know,
Yeah.
they were a different race or they were a different religion or they were
Yeah.
persecuted or they were the persecutor or
hmm
you know how they respond to all of those things is very different or they
Yeah.
were of a different religion than they are now and they're fervently of their religion now but they were fervently of that religion then.
Yeah.
How are they going to reconcile that?
Right.
You know,
Right.
were they wrong then? Are they wrong now? Is nobody wrong? Is everybody wrong?
Yeah.
You know, it brings up a lot of like questioning of their identity.
Yeah.
And sometimes that leads to coaching afterwards about
Yeah.
how are you going to sort that out for yourself? And
Yeah.
does there have to be a right or wrong, or can it all just be,
Yeah,
you know?
I was going to mention that then that really, you're a master's in spiritual psychology and then you're coaching, then all of that can help your hypnosis client too. So you can
Mm.
really
So I
have,
really bring
yeah,
all of it into play,
yeah, yeah,
even
integrate it all together.
in it helping me have intuition about where to guide them
Mm-hmm.
because pieces are falling into place for me that aren't falling into place for them yet. And
Yeah.
most of the time I'm accurate in the perception, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm not. And then you got to kind of deviate a little bit and take a U-turn and go a
Yeah.
different direction. So it's also not being tied to any expectation about what
Yeah.
comes up for them, but just being present with them and creating a safe
Mm-hmm.
environment and kind
Yeah.
of being a tour guide
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't feel like they're alone in it and that there's someone else witnessing it and that
Yeah.
that was then and this is now and this is
Yeah.
not happening to you now.
Yeah.
It happened then and you sort of, you know, you went through it then and your essence is still here now.
Yeah.
So you didn't, even though you died that way, you're not dead. You
Yeah.
know, all of those things.
Yeah, I love
So
that.
for some people that brings up, well, I don't think we live more than once. Okay, well, we need to, you can have that belief and that can be true for you,
Mm-hmm.
but then where do you put all of this?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and maybe then maybe you just say this was a mental exercise. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not true for me. It was just my brain was trying to teach me something
Yeah.
subconsciously. Okay, great. Like there's no right or wrong with what someone does with it. It's their own life, it's their own
Yeah.
truth, it's their own will. It's I'm they I'm not looking for a certain belief system to come out of
Mm-hmm.
it or to go into it. Um I'm Switzerland, I'm neutral.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever is up for you and however you want to frame it for yourself. It's that you come away with more knowledge about who you are as a whole than you were beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So did you want to talk at all about you are a grief recovery specialist as well. So did you want to talk
Yeah.
about that at all?
That has come from I've had a lifelong experience of loss,
Mm-hmm.
and putting purpose to meaning is, making it mean something.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, especially with grief, people don't care what you know till they know that you care, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they don't want to talk to someone who hasn't like lost their parents or
Mm-hmm.
lost someone violently or had someone die in their arms literally or
Yeah.
lost a pet or lost a child or even lost a job. There's grief about losing your
Oh,
career.
yeah.
There's grief about losing your home to foreclosure. There's a million kinds of grief that aren't a literal death, but they feel like it. And having
Absolutely.
those validated
Right.
and honored, and they need to go through their own process too.
Yeah.
Um, how to help people through that journey and not get stuck.
Yeah.
And to separate that if you come to some peaceful place about it, doesn't mean you don't love the person anymore, doesn't
Right.
mean that you don't care anymore, doesn't mean that you've forgotten them. How much you suffer isn't equivalent to how much you love.
Right, right. And I think there is a big misconception about
There
that, or
is.
people are confused about that. So that's where a grief coach or a grief recovery coach can help with that.
My cat just knocked something off of the
Oh,
dresser.
no. I didn't hear anything,
Oh,
so
okay. It's like, that's a loud noise.
I didn't hear it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But okay. So let's see. So is there anything else that is on the horizon for you? Anything else that you're
I'm just working on a couple of more life coaching credentials because they're
Mhm.
important to different bases of my clientele. Some people who are more in the alternative realm
Mhm.
know who Jay Shetty is. Um,
Mhm.
so if that name sounds familiar, I'm in the process of his life coaching certification program to be a Jay Shetty coach.
Yeah.
And that would be direct referrals from people inquiring to him to work with someone trained underneath him. So
Okay.
I'm in that one now, and then when I'm done with that one, I'm going to do ICF coaching credential, which is International Coaching Federation, and that
Nice.
one is uh, it's 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 rigorous, but it's
Hmm.
more generally understood and sought
Yeah.
as a accredited program. So
Nice.
kind of two more to kind of wallpaper my wall with
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of put a stamp that some people are looking for. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people can say that they're a coach, but what does that mean?
Right. And
And
especially
where
in
what
this
is your
this day and
training,
age,
and
yeah.
what are the ethics that you're holding to, and what are your standards for confidentiality and managing their private information and um,
Yeah.
not crossing professional boundaries and
Absolutely.
all of those things that are just as important for the licensed fields
Hmm.
as this one, but they're not as regulated. So a lot of
Right.
people short circuit them, and
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of pros and cons to regulations and
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. So I totally agree with you. So thank
Mhm.
you.
You're welcome.
Um let's see. So where can people reach you?
The best way to get a hold of me is through my Yelp page.
Okay.
So if they searched life coach or hypnosis under Lakeport, California, it would come up Trust Life Coaching. And I've got a lot of reviews on there. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've got 4.7 out of 5 stars on there.
Nice.
So it's good feedback. And it covers, like the last decade and a half. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a wide assortment of feedback. And it has like my experience and, the
Mm-hmm.
different programs that I've graduated from and stuff like that on it. Um,
And contact
and
information.
of course, and contact
Yeah.
information. Yes, of
And
course.
I'll see if I can get the link that link to your Yelp page. I'll see if I can get that to
Yeah.
share in the description below.
Yeah.
And
And
then
I'm happy to say my phone number if you want me to. That's fine too.
that's up to you. Yeah, go ahead if you'd
Sure.
like.
It's 707-245-2427.
There you go.
707-245-2427.
Okay.
And email is trustlifecoaching@gmail.com.
Great.
So those are two
Great.
direct ways without going through Yelp. But
Yeah.
if someone wants to kind of take my inventory, that's a good place to kind of look for it.
Yeah, to get all the information. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So before we wrap up here, is there anything else that you would like people to know or anything else that you would like to share before we say goodbye today?
I just want to encourage people to continue to explore new modalities. It might not be your favorite, but I'm sure that you'll get something out of each. And being open-minded to trying new things,
Yeah.
I think helps keeps us young and keeps us growing. But I just want to acknowledge anyone watching this that you're clearly interested in learning new things, or you wouldn't be watching it. So hats off to you for being here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for today.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you. And if anybody is watching that is interested in what Tammy does, please reach out to her. If anybody that's watching is a holistic practitioner and would like to share what you do on the show, contact me.
Great.
So we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.